Man, oh man, what a wild week 3 of games. We're going to be talking about every single position, honoring the sucks of the week, going over the latest news and notes. It's a big video here, and this is going to have some implications if you guys are looking at some of these players that crap the bed. Moving forward, should you start guys like Rashid Shaheed moving forward that crap the bed? Anthony Richardson, who's been crapping the bed. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and on. We're going to talk about it here on the show. On the show, we got the great and powerful Jim. Jim, what a wild week again.
It is chaos, counselor. Chaos in the NFL. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it's just it's messed up. I mean, it looks like the passing is getting better. They said through the first 2 weeks of the season, quarterbacks were averaging just over 200 yards per game,
Right.
which is insanely, stupidly low. We did have some pretty good performances as far as yards this week, which translates into better performances for wide receivers.
Right.
But man, I mean, it is just brutal. It's brutal out there. How are the Steelers 3-0? How does that make any sense?
It's the Wild West. I got to tell you, my teams did well. A lot of my players did well because I got some Malik Neighbor stock. I got, Saquon stock. I got Henry stock. So a lot of my teams are anchored by these guys. So I did well. But there's so many guys that crap the bed. So we're going to honor the sucks of the week and also talk about the studs of the week at each position. And of course, the latest news. I also want to talk about a couple things. Let's get right to the breaking news here and stuff that I really want to talk about and just dive right into it because I don't even want to hold it back.
We now have breaking news.
So Zamir White actually blocked me. Did you know this? Did you watch my social media yesterday, Jim? I mean, it's over.
Why would he do that, counselor? What did you say to him?
We're officially broken up. Well, here's the narrative. So I believed in him, right? You know me, I've been talking about him. You were the guy that was right, and you said, Zamir White could be that guy that came on at the end of last season and defenses were tired, yada, yada, and he's going to basically bust this year. But I saw an opportunity for Zamir this year. I saw a team that didn't draft another top running back. I saw a team that didn't bring in a good running back. They brought in crappy Madison, who had a terrible year last year, like 0 touchdowns, 3 yards per carry, and he was a starter. So I'm like, this is great. They liked Zamir. And then going into this week, it was a favorable matchup versus the Panthers, who absolutely suck, ended up winning the game, which was crazy. Right. And I'm like, okay, this is the week for Zamir. And his coach came out and said 20 plus touches, ends up being only 10 rushing attempts. Okay. He crapped the bed. And here's the thing, man. You got 10 rushing attempts. Okay. Do something. You don't average 3 point. You average like 3 point something yards per carry. You got 1 chance. You got 2 chances. You got 3. Okay. Maybe the first run, you bump into a pile. Second run, stacked box, you have an issue. Third run, another tackle. You got 10 tries. No breakout run, lackluster, looked like absolute crap. Madison came in, it was getting more work. I don't even know what to tell you, right? Not necessarily in the rush, just more on the field, especially in the passing opportunities. So I went online on social media and I said, Zamir White sucks. He's the worst running back in the league. He should be ashamed of himself. And sure enough, he blocks me. So that's the story, man. I'm just very disappointed in Zamir White. He should be ashamed of himself. He's done. He's banished to the fantasy football free agency. I'm done with him, Jim. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was never that big on him. Unfortunately, I did take him. You talked me into him, and I took him in a number of teams that I have in best ball and such. And he's done nothing. He has done nothing. Has he even gotten a touchdown this year? I don't think he's gotten.
I don't think he has. No, nothing. He should be absolutely ashamed of himself. And this is what I mean.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Now the good news is that I did end up taking quite a bit of Alexander Madison because he was a guy you could get in like the 17th round of best ball drafts. So he was just like, oh, I'll just take him at the end.
Yeah.
And you know what? He hasn't been half bad. He's gotten like 3 touchdowns this year already. And, but the problem is that the Raiders just are pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're constantly in a negative game script. Zamir White doesn't catch the ball, so he's not involved in that aspect of the game.
No.
And if the game turns against the Raiders, which it'll do a lot this year, there's just no role for him. And so that's part of the reason why he's not getting any work, I mean, how could they have, after they beat the Ravens last week, how could they come out this week and lose that badly to the Panthers? What? I mean, I just like, I'm floored. I don't understand it. Andy
Well,
Dalton, is he good? He's not good. That's why he hasn't been a starter for years. And yet somehow he comes out there and he looks like he
you know,
looks like awesome.
yeah, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 123 passer rating for Andy Dalton, making Bryce Young look bad and making the coaches and owners look amazing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they did improve that O-line going in the offseason. They made a lot of changes, added Deontay Johnson. And man, now Deontay Johnson becomes really fantasy relevant now if Dalton stays in. But man, oh man, like I can't believe Carolina just came out and just won that game the way that they did. So anyway, I just want to talk about that. I also want to talk about that play. If you guys haven't checked my Instagram, over 1 million views. I reposted a video of that, holding call, the pass interference that was not called against the Chiefs. So a lot of people saying it's rigged. I believe, again, a lot of calls go in the favor of the Chiefs. That being said, there's a lot of calls that went against the Chiefs yesterday, but it was that all-important call where Kyle Pitts was held in the end zone where a lot of people are saying, man, the Kansas City Chiefs. Did you see that holding call that should have been called?
Actually, I didn't watch the Sunday Night Football game. So I missed that. I missed that game. But can I just go on a rant about Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Because Patrick Mahomes, what the hell is going on with this guy?
I don't know.
He was the QB 12 this week. 217 passing yards. At least he got 2 touchdowns. He's playing like a low end rookie. I mean, I'm just like, where is the Patrick Mahomes that we know and love that will get you, at least 3 touchdowns a week and 300 plus passing yards? That's why we draft him early. That's why we draft him high. We don't draft him high to get you 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 17.4 fantasy points. I could get 17.4 fantasy points from Deshaun Watson or Kyler Murray or Jared Goff. I mean, what's going on? And then also the Kelsey complete bust. I don't know if I can even want to start him going forward.
No. And
he had 5 points yesterday or something. I mean, again, it's just wretched. At least Rashee Rice was awesome. Rashee Rice looked great.
So let's roll into QB studs and sucks of the week. So yeah, Pat Mahomes is the first guy here. I got about 16.4 points. PPR, absolutely terrible. And a big part of that, again, is Kelsey losing his number one target. His mind isn't there. Apparently, from what I hear, it's focus, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. Kelsey's going to be doing a new TV show. I don't know what it's about. It's like a dark show. I don't know too much about it, but he's going to be on a new TV show. So, I mean, it's just about dividing that energy. You're diluting yourself. And apparently Swift wasn't at the game. And there was a picture of him at the sideline looking depressed. Now, maybe it was just a bad angle and they just caught him, and they're just using that narrative that he was upset the Swift wasn't there. But yeah, man, if your number one target isn't efficient or operating the way that he was, that's definitely going to hurt him. Obviously, the injury to Hollywood Brown. And then Xavier Worthy, again, we're going to get to wide receivers in a second. But man, oh man, Xavier Worthy just, again, had that 1 week wonder game. He broke up for those runs and got a lot of points, just not being targeted heavily. But it looks like, again, Rashee Rice is the guy there. But yeah, Mahomes just not where he needs to be. So again, quarterbacks, Dak Prescott having a good game. Lamar Jackson, good game. Brock Purdy, Malik Willis, believe it or not, 25.4. Dalton and Sam Darnold, going back to the news here, is going to get an MRI on his knee. He suffered a knee injury during the game. Apparently, I think he came back in, toughed it out a little bit too, but something to monitor as well. Again, who would have thought that the top 10 running backs would include, in week 3, Andy Dalton, number 5. Again, excluding the Monday game. Hopefully Josh Allen, because I got him in a bunch of leagues, comes in here and bumps some of these guys down. But, Andy Dalton, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Bo Nix, Justin Fields. Like, Justin Fields shouldn't have even been starting. You know what I mean? Like, Malik Willis. Like, who would have thunk it?
Yeah, Malik Willis is shocking. The fact that he's like the number 4 quarterback. He only got 200 yards passing and 1 passing touchdown. But let's talk about the rushing yards, man. 73 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Man, it makes such the difference, right? It like takes a mediocre performance to an excellent performance just based on that, and that's why I like the rushing quarterbacks. But yeah. Malik Willis is probably not going to be playing next week. It's probably going to be back to Love, which is good for me because I've got a lot of Green Bay receivers that have been sitting on my bench for the past 2 weeks because I've been too afraid to start them.
I don't blame you.
But they should be fine once Love is back. And I think Love will be back for week 4.
All right, guys that crap the bed, man. I don't even know what happened to Houston, but CJ Stroud, 9.8 points. Derek Carr, 8 points. I mean, Derek Carr coming back to reality. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, Derek Carr it was much more of Derek Carr this past week, wasn't he?
Yeah. And a guy I told you and warned you about. By the way, my teams did great. Just for the record here, I want to tell you, my teams did great. I'm so grateful, man, to have an ace quarterback. Hopefully Josh Allen does well. As long as Josh Allen doesn't lay an egg, I have about 15 points away. I got him and Keon Coleman. I had 15 points to win my last league this week and just crush it. But Anthony Richardson, though, 2 interceptions, 167 yards, 5.1 points, 39 was his passer rating. I mean, I was talking about this, I tweeted this out, right? If you're not following, follow FF Counselor 1 on Insta or on X now, and then also follow my story mode, guys. Turn on the bell, my story on Instagram. I did a post. I said, if defenders got fantasy points, like cornerbacks or linemen, if they got fantasy points, a point per reception, Anthony Richardson's the quarterback to start. This guy just, I don't know what he does, man. Like, he throws it, and like his receiver isn't anywhere even in the vicinity at all. Like, I don't know what he's doing, man. He's just throwing. They got those lucky, those big, yard passes, those big bombs he landed. Those were luck in week 1. I mean, I don't even think he knows where he's throwing, Jim. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, we knew he was a raw talent. He's a raw talent.
Yeah.
He's a physical specimen, and I think you're going to see a lot of this. A lot of games like this. For me, man, Jalen Hurts really crapped the bed yesterday. I mean, I think the Saints defense is for real and was really holding them down, but he committed several turnovers during the course of the game. He got 311 passing yards, yet still only ended up with 12 fantasy points.
Yeah.
But that is, that's just unacceptable for, an elite quarterback that won the football game. He won the game, and yet just
Barkley did it.
Good. Barkley killed it. Barkley was awesome yesterday. Yeah.
So quarterback, who is the suck of the week in your opinion? Again, a lot of people did bad. I think Derek Carr 8 points, but again, to be expected. I would say Anthony Richardson at 5.1 points because again, everybody drafted this guy. I didn't anyway. He was a top 5 quarterback going into this year. I mean, he's a suck.
Right.
5
Yeah,
points.
and I think that's probably a good one. I mean, obviously Derek Carr kind of sucked, but most people didn't start Derek Carr. He's like a guy that's on your bench. Justin Herbert also, man, I don't think you can start him anywhere. 125 passing yards yesterday. 125.
I don't know.
You can't have good production. McConkey can't be good if Herbert is only throwing for 125 yards. I mean, that's just like total danger zone. Baker Mayfield came back to earth, man. 9.5 fantasy points for him. I mean, there was a lot of really, really sucky performances yesterday by good quarterbacks that have looked good in the first 2 weeks of the season. Somehow came back to earth. I don't know. I guess any given week, right?
And again, you got Will Levis as well. Like, he is really, really hurting Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley did nothing. I think one pass. We'll go to receiver.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley was like a complete bust yesterday. Absolutely nothing.
And Justin Herbert did get hurt. I think he was out for a bit of that game. I watched a bit of that. But again, still, man, Justin Herbert just not looking, the way he did kind of in his rookie or second year. He just sucks. I don't know what's going on with that guy. I think it's Harbaugh. They're trying to run the ball a lot. And I saw a lot of weird plays. It was like 3rd and 7. And he throws it behind the first down marker. I mean, why are you throwing for 2 yards or trying to run it on 3rd and 7? You want to make an effective play to get a first down, but you're not. And it's just, I don't get it, man. You don't have good running backs and you're running the ball. They think that they're Detroit or something. They think that they got Montgomery and Gibbs, but they don't. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be the Detroit Lions, but they're not. That's what they're trying to do.
Detroit at least has a passing game, right? I mean, at least they can pass. And he's also hobbled right now. He's got a bad ankle. He left the game for a while.
I said that. Yeah,
that's not good either for Herbert. But geez, man, I mean, I just don't think I can start any Chargers receivers until we see some more receiving. I mean, just 125 yards just is never going to cut it for those receivers on that team. So,
all right, moving on to the running backs here, the all-important position here. We talked already about Zamir White. I kind of vented out on that. I mean, there's really no excuse for that guy. But I do have some mentions here. Let's just list them off real quick. Let's just talk about the guys that did well. Saquon Barkley got a lot of stock, and Derrick Henry, finishing at 1 and 3. Kyron Williams, our guy, that was on our show. absolutely crushed. Did you see that? Like he did that front flip into the end zone. Did you see that?
Oh, that was hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, I was kind of like, if I'm a Kyron owner, I'd be like, he landed on his tailbone. I'd be a little concerned, but he was okay. Chuba Hubbard having a good game, man. Carolina just running the ball, smash in Vegas. Taylor having a good game. Aaron Jones, believe it or not. Charbonnet, I mean, he did it, man. 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns with Walker, not getting the work, sidelined, right?
Yeah.
Montgomery, Suckletary. And Suckletary, did you see that one play with smart IQ play where he stopped at a yard short?
Oh, at the very end when he was running for the end zone and he slid right before the goal.
Yeah, but it still would have been.
I know. I was pissed. I had Singletary started on one of my teams. I really could have used that freaking touchdown. And
so weak because
that was disappointing.
I still think they would have been up like 2 scores with 2 minutes left. I mean, I don't know. I always think that that's a weak move. I think you just go for it. Like if you get a touchdown, go for it. The analogy I give with this is like, Jim, let's say you and I are in a fight or like we're in the UFC and there's scorecards, right? So, I'm up like, 5 rounds. I'm winning every round, right? And I got a chance and you're like, and I punch you and you're wobbled, right? And I got a chance for a knockout punch. But instead, because I'm winning on the scorecard, I'm just going to let you bobble there for the last 30 seconds of the match, not knock you out. No, man, you go for the knockout. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel when I watch this, stopping at the goal line to preserve the game and just work the clock. No, pound it in and just play it out, man. Play it out. That's my thoughts on this. I hate when I see that, especially for fantasy purposes. It really bothers me, Jim. It bothers me.
Yeah, I hear it's. I remember reading something about this a number of years ago, and they say it's because of Madden football that players start doing stuff that they see on Madden football, and that is a move that people do to keep the clock running and just run it out and win the game. But yeah, I mean, I was very disappointed in that. So.
How about this, though? How about this? Emmanuel Wilson, he had that receiving touchdown, 16.5 points. And Josh Jacobs, 5 points. So we're starting to talk about these sucks. Who would have thunk this week 3? And I knew I wasn't a believer in Josh Jacobs. That's why I had Marshawn Lloyd's stock. And this is what's crazy about fantasy. I didn't believe in Jacobs. I was smart enough to get Marshawn Lloyd. But out of nowhere comes Emmanuel Wilson. Like, who would have thunk that? And that's the weird thing about fantasy. No matter how much you know and how good you are and how instinctive you are, someone slips in there. So Emmanuel Wilson could be fantasy relevant, or maybe it was just a lucky week, Jim. What do you think about Emmanuel Wilson, man? 16 points.
Yeah, I mean, he got good work. He got 12 touches and 2 targets. So that's right about at my threshold where I could start a player.
Yeah.
But with Jacobs, the prior week, he had like 35 carries. I mean, he had like a ridiculous amount of carries in week 2. I think that probably impacted his ability to go in week 3. He's been dealing with back issues.
Yeah.
So, obviously, who's the rookie? What?
Emmanuel Wilson.
Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah, it is having a hamstring issue. Who knows when he's even going to be back? So this guy is the number 2 on this team. And if we see an issue where Jacobs is questionable, we could see some continued good work from Emmanuel Wilson, but I think they're going to back off a little bit of the running game with Jordan Love being back. So this is merely a bench stash right now. Right. But I did pick up lots of shares of Emmanuel Wilson after week 1, because on week 1 he got like 4 carries, but he got 48 yards off those 4 carries. I'm like, okay, that's good for me. This guy's legit. So
all right, Jim, let me list a couple other guys that suck this week, and then you can just dive in on what you think of them. So Dobbins, 8.4 points, right? Tony Pollard, 5.9. Jacobs, 5.8. Zeke Elliott, 2.2 points and 2 yards per carry. James Conner, the beloved James Conner, 3.5 points. Zamir White, 3.4. DeAndre Swift, 6.2. That's disappointing, some of these names, man.
Yeah, there are some big names that really kind of blew it. Rashad White, 6 points. J.K. Dobbins, 6.9 points. Just unacceptable. DeAndre Swift continues to just stink, 5.2 points. Really kind of looked like who's the other running back there? Is it Roschon Johnson? No, that's
which team?
Who's the other Chicago running back?
Herbert? Or
the other Chicago running back?
Are you talking?
I think probably Herbert. Yeah.
Let me pull it up here.
No, Roschon Johnson in Chicago. Yeah, he got 8.2 points. But he just looked way better than Swift yesterday.
Yeah, I got him at 10
Swift
points.
got 1.5 yards per carry. Just abysmal.
And people thought he was going to be the starter. That's what I'm saying. All these fake RB1s coming in. Yeah, I got Rashawn Johnson here, 10.2 points in PPR, 3.8 yards per carry, not much better. And then Khalil Herbert is on there. He got like 4 attempts for 2.2 yards per carry and 0.9 fantasy points PPR. Again, it's all these fake RB1s, Dobbins and Zamir White. What a fake and phony. I thought he was someone, Swift, another guy, right? I don't know, man. And Pollard, 5.9. These guys aren't true RB1s. That's why this year I've really pushed the point home. Get yourself a Bijan, even though he didn't do amazing yesterday. Get yourself a Saquon. Get yourself some of these early round guys, a Kyron, a Henry, some of these guys. So, man, oh, man. So, suck of the week, I'm going to give it to Jacobs, 5.8 points. This is a guy who was drafted in the third round across the board. That's bad. Jacob.
Yeah.
I would say so. All right, wide receivers here, studs and socks. Let's start off with the guys that did really, really well at the wide receiver position here.
Oh yeah, the number one guy this week, Juwan Jennings of the 49ers.
Yeah, I saw
comes out
it.
and gets 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. What the hell, man? That's crazy.
Actually, I'm in this group. Listen to this. So I'm in this, I'm offering the Counselor's Edge. If you have not got the Counselor's Edge, get it below. So I offer my spreads and the money line and my 5 props. And I knew he'd have a good game. I think his over-under on receptions, Jim, was like 3.5. I'm like, dude, take the over here. Now, again, it's like, I kind of saw this. I didn't see it this big. I knew he'd have a good game, but 46.5 fantasy points. And that's the thing, man. Someone picks him off the waiver. He has this big game, and Debo comes back, and then he becomes a donut next week, right? You never know. You just never know.
Yeah, I mean, the reason obviously was because in the morning is when you found out both Debo and Kittle were not playing that day.
Right.
But of course, by that time, it was too late. He was already gone off the waiver wires on all my leagues, so wasn't able to pick him up. But that was just blowing me away. I was just like, are you kidding me? How is this happening? How is this guy getting this is Juwan Jennings. He's been I don't even know how long he's even been he's been in for a while.
Listen to this. He was a 7th round pick in 2020, 4 seasons. His best season was in 2022 when he only had 1 touchdown. Actually, he had 416 yards that year. His best season was his rookie year at 5 touchdowns, 282 yards. He's never been good. And that's the thing. But it makes you think, man, some of these guys that have been under the radar just need volume. I've been saying this a lot, right? A lot of this is volume driven. And I talked about Quentin Johnson last year. Just feed him. Almost anyone can be good, right? I mean, you got to have some skill set. But if you just get the volume, you're going to do well a majority of the time because you're in the NFL. You're obviously somewhat elite, right? And now if I'm the 49ers, I'm kicking myself. Why'd they even pay Ayuk? Ayuk's doing nothing. Like, I don't know, man. I would be a little concerned if I'm an Ayuk, owner,
Well, obviously Ayuk was the number one target. So, you just blanket him with the cover 2 and you take him out of the game. That was happening.
Yeah.
It's just happening all the time anymore, man. They're just taking out the top receivers. But how about Malik Neighbors?
Yeah.
Wide receiver 2 on the week. Damn.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
78 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Did you see the catch? The one by the sideline where he kind of grabbed it kind of over the guy's head, clinched it down, and then they proceeded with a touchdown right after. And that was an impressive touchdown. He's really good. I mean, his name for Instagram is Can't Guard Malik, and I think there's a good reason why he came up with that name because I don't think he can guard this guy.
He's really coming into his own, and he's making Daniel Jones look better than he is. So,
Yeah, man. Typically, quarterbacks made wide receivers, but in this case, he's really good. Amari Cooper, again, this is where I would sell high on Amari Cooper, man. It's 27 points. Like, dude, I don't see this sustainable. He had 3.6 points week 1, 4.1, and then 27.6. Are you selling Amari Cooper here, Jim?
Oh, yeah, I would. I mean, I just don't trust Deshaun Watson. I think he's trash. And, it was kind of a lucky thing. Like Amari Cooper immediately came out first play, got that touchdown.
Yeah.
And then he literally did nothing the whole rest of the game until towards the end of the 4th quarter. And then he came on again and was very, was very good. But Cooper's always been very inconsistent, very up and down. He can boom. His boom bust ratio is huge compared to most other wide receiver 1s. Yeah. So he's generally a guy that I like to stay away from in drafts because of that. So,
man, other honorable mentions that did well. Again, Jennings, Rashee Rice. He looks like the consistent guy we talked about. Malik Neighbors, Amari Cooper, Deontay with the new refreshed Andy Dalton, Red Rifle. Romo Tuesday has a good game, but again, Caleb not so good. Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, or as you say, Jacoby Myers. Chris Olave finally back in the top 10. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Jefferson. Man, and then Diggs having the big week this week, 19.9 points. And what happened to Nico, man? Nico finishing, again, excluding the Monday game, 33rd amongst wide receivers, 12.6 points. Not bad, but nothing like we saw, last week. Last week was amazing,
Right.
27 points.
Well, I think they just kind of clamped down on him. They clamped down on CJ Stroud's favorite target. It impacted CJ Stroud pretty bad. That's what happened there, man. There was a lot of that got really good, really big points, like Calvin Austin of Pittsburgh. Who I actually have some shares of. He was one of those guys you could get like at the last round of your draft for best ball. He ended up with 17.5 points. He got 95 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Yes, not consistent. There's no consistency there at all.
There's no consistency. I mean, he'd do anything week 1 or week 2, but I think he's definitely worth a pickup. I think you should put him onto your bench and just see what happens. Also, we've got Fields still being the quarterback there. Russell Wilson's going to come back at some point. I mean, I know they're 3-0, but Fields has not been particularly good. The offense has not been particularly good. I think they really need to. I think they need to get Wilson back in there. I don't know.
We need to have a conversation about Tyreek Hill, finishing, again, excluding the Monday night game, PPR 49th amongst wide receivers as well, 6.9 fantasy points. Again, we're talking Skylar Thompson here, who got hurt, and then they brought in whoever that third guy was, the backup. I can't remember who it was. I had like 50 games going on. There's some guy that's washed up. Let me pull him up now. It's bugging me. You know what I'm talking about? He's like the third stringer on Miami. He's an old quarterback here. Help me out here. It's coming up to me. Oh, yeah, Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle comes in, 7 for 13, 3.8 fantasy points. But what I'm saying is Tyreek Hill, should we be concerned? I mean, I have no Tyreek. I know you have Tyreek stock.
I do have Tyreek Hill, and it sucks, man. It sucks. Not having Tua. He just it's just not a good offense. It is a very, very subpar offense without Tua being able to run things properly. And it shows. And Tyreek Hill is one of the people that's suffering as a result. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's 2 bust games in a row with the backup quarterbacks, and none of them look like a good choice. I see it right next to him, Michael Pittman at 48, Lad McConkey at 47, Devontae Adams at 46. Man, there's some big names here, right at this total bust garbage area. Jackson Smith and Jigba at 50, Brandon Ayuk at 51. Damn, look at that.
CeeDee Lamb, 8.7 fantasy points. He was yelling, I think, by the sideline. He wanted to get the ball. Zay Flowers, 5.3 points. This is like your number 1 receiver, Lamar. I always get concerned about Lamar, man. And like I said,
Lamar did great. I mean, Lamar looked really good yesterday. He was like the QB2. He was fine, but yeah, he was not targeting Flowers at all. And that leads me to believe it was probably like more of a cover 2 thing where they were just blanketing him, and he wasn't able to get open.
How about Mike Evans? 3.7 points, finishing 72. Mike Evans.
I don't know what's going on with Mike Evans, man. Yeah, he was great week 1. Here's the thing. I got these teams, and they absolutely balled out, looked awesome week 1. And week 2 was way worse. Week 3 is looking even worse than that because of, things like Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans. These guys are my guys, and they are just blowing it right now, and oh god, it's just terrible.
And Calvin Ridley, like I said, man, 1.9 fantasy with 3 targets, 1 reception. That's a big issue, dude. Like, this is a good town. They paid him like what, $92 million or something. I don't know what the contract.
Yeah, it's just Levis isn't that good, man. He's just not that good.
He's not going to get it done. Man, okay, let's go to I don't want to spend too much time on these guys, but tight ends here, man. Let's have a quick discussion here about tight ends.
Tight end sucks. I hate the position so much, and I'm very happy that I only on one team did I really spend high draft capital on tight ends. Everyone else, I'm just like, wait
on tight end. I've always said,
and it just didn't really hurt my team at all to have guys like Freiermuth, who's like middling and mediocre, but at least he's getting it done each week. He's getting some points.
Yeah. And I talked about this. Jake Ferguson is back. I'm so glad I got him back in my lineup because that's why I'm winning my week. So I'm in this league right now, and you have like a bunch of super flexes. And I actually ended up starting Conklin in that league because I didn't get Ferguson in that league because it's tight end premium. So I ended up getting Conklin, and he did well for me. He got me like, because 22.3, what do you have? 22 points or something like that in this league because they get
Well, it says here 11.8 and a half PPR, so it must be a tight end premium.
Well, I got him at 14.3 PPR. I don't know what you're looking at. Maybe you're looking at standard, but either way.
I'm looking at half PPR,
okay. So full point, 14.3, but in this one league, because they get such a high perk, I don't know what they're getting per reception, but 22.8 points. So do the math on that. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm happy with that. And I got, Ferguson other leagues. So I'm happy with my tight ends. And I was really upset when Ferguson went down because I got a lot of stock in him. But because Ferguson did well and my running backs did well, I'm winning my leagues this week. It's been great. So
that's awesome.
It took a couple weeks to get going. And now we know kind of who's who a little bit more. Kind of who's in, who's out, who's a pretender, who's not. And a guy like Rashid Shaheed, anything can happen. Rashid Shaheed, 2 good weeks, craps the bed in week 3. But again, it was just those dropped or those potential touchdowns that didn't happen.
But it wasn't also, he just didn't get that much volume. I think he got like 3 targets.
Something like that. It wasn't good. Let me pull that up here.
He got 5 targets. Yeah. Which is really not safe, right? That's not a safe amount to have. And
0 receptions though, 0 receptions.
0. It's just so close. I mean, there was 2 touchdowns there.
Yeah.
He almost caught. He almost got him. And had he gotten him, it would have been fine. But I mean, it just didn't happen this week. But that's what you get with a player like Shaheed. That's what they offer you. It's a boom bust player. And he boomed the first 2 weeks, totally busted out the second. And you're going to see that. If he's only getting 5 targets, it's really hard to be consistent.
So for tight end, everybody's a suck. I'm going to say Laporta, though, 5.5, 5.6 points. And Kelsey still 7 points. Unacceptable, man. These guys are 2nd, 3rd round fantasy picks, and they're just not performing. And I kind of expected a decline from Sam Laporta, but not to this extent. I still think he'd be an efficient part of that offense, but including Jameson Williams, a lot more is going to be a problem. And this is, I kind of worried about it a little bit, but I didn't think it would be this much of an impact. Williams, only 3 targets, but 1 reception last game. Amon-Ra, 8 targets, 7 receptions. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. More running, I guess.
Yeah, they're just spreading it around. And hey, how about Trey McBride, man? He was the tight end 20 this week. 3 catches for 25 yards. That's also a huge bust. People spent a lot of draft capital on him as well. Not good.
I'm going to include that in my video because I'm going to do a rant on this.
But I mean, again, it's just there's not that much volume going to tight ends.
No.
I mean, you've got the big guys this week. Dallas Goedert, he did great because AJ Brown and White was also were both out, so he kind of soaked up additional targets. Cole Kmet also had a really boom week out of nowhere. I mean, I don't think this means anything for his usage. It'll probably go back down next week, as I would expect it to. But yeah, I mean, Cade Otton had 8 targets. That was great. Cade Otton just hasn't really developed into what I thought he could be.
No,
he's really been underwhelming. But occasionally he can be good. So that's what happened this past week. He was decent as the tight end 4.
Yeah, Trey McBride, big letdown. I wasn't really high on him. I knew when Harrison came in, it might be an issue. So it is what it is. Finished 19th. That's bad. 5.5 fantasy points. It is what it is, man. Tight end has always been a crapshoot through the years. I mean, you always kind of had that Kelsey or another guy and then a big drop off and people trying to find their way. And everybody thought Laporta. I recommended him last year as a deal. This year, very expensive. They jumped on him, inflated his value. Now he's disappointing. So that's what you get when you follow the sheep, man. You just got to kind of find the next trend, the next guy in line. I knew Ferguson was. I'm hoping Ferguson is what I believe he's going to be. And good sign, him just coming back and doing what he did. 11 targets, 6 receptions. That's what I like to see out of my Ferguson, a guy that I recommended for 16 rounders. So
yeah, and he only missed the 1 week with that injury, which was very good, very good. So it's good that he's back.
Yeah, man. I mean, people rip on me for a couple picks. Guys like Keon Coleman, he's got to do something this week. All eyes on Keon Coleman. But like guys like Zamir, there's a ton of players that were like we talked about, like guys like Tyreek and CeeDee Lamb and Xavier Worthy, and there's a lot of other guys. that, Pollard, Jacobs, Connor, like, they kind of just rip on me for my 1 or 2 picks. It's hilarious. I like it. It's funny. But it is what it is.
There's more than enough bad picks to go around for everybody. Okay, we all get our bad picks, so
it's okay. I guess because I push certain guys so hard, right, and that's where it comes back to bite me. So you can't win them all. It's fantasy football, right? If we're all batting 100%, then yeah, I mean, I don't know, just almost impossible to predict.
We gotta somehow find that NFL script so we can tell you exactly who you need to start each week and
well, we got
for all the games because they're all predetermined, right? It's like professional wrestling.
get a hold of the Chiefs ownership, and then we'll probably have a better idea. So anyways, yeah, man, make sure you guys smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, drop a question below, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Anything else, Jim?
I think that's it, counselor.
I'm tapped out, man. A lot of sucking going on here. All right.
I'd also like to say one more thing that sucks. The double Monday Night Football games. Why are they doing this? Why?
Yeah.
Why? It doesn't make any sense. They play at the same time. They're competing with each other on Monday. I mean, why didn't you just have one of those games yesterday? I don't get it. But
yeah, the overlap I don't like. I don't like that. It is kind of weird. I mean, but I guess because maybe they want more viewership because someone might not want to watch Washington. They just don't like the Commanders. So like, okay, I'm going to catch the Bills game, right? Maybe. But I don't know. I'm going to be watching the Bills game because I need Keon to do something. That's it.
Yeah, and I need Zach Moss to have a killer night tonight against Washington. And he should have a really good night tonight because that Washington defense can't stop the run for anything. But I need him to have a huge night for me. So root for that.
And they said that they're going to get Terry McLaurin more involved. We'll see, man. Years to wow. I'll see it when I believe it, brother. All right, guys. It's going to be a good one, man. I'll be watching the Bills game. So I'll tune into the other one when I can. All right, guys. Thumbs up. We're out. Have a good day. Have a good day, Jim. Thanks, guys.